What is up, YouTube? Salty Texas back with another ambitious project. Today I decided to take some crayons, put it in some resin, make a cast, and this is what it looks like. And I did not realize that the thermodynamics of resin heating up will cause them crayons to melt. And if you're going to dip crayons, they're going to melt. And you're going to get something like this. So this is a hot mess already, but it looked really cool, so I was really hopeful for the project. So we got it on the lathe. I didn't show you where I put the faceplate on it because I kind of screwed up taking the tannin off. But as we can see, we're getting some good shavings off so far, and I'm really excited about this, thinking, what's the worst that could happen? And every time I think that, something catastrophic ends up happening. So sorry about that little shoddy camera work. Stuff was flying everywhere. I had shards of crayon and resin kind of just going in all directions. And then I had that happen. So in classic Salty Texas form, giant pieces fell off, and that was totally my fault because when you use the crayons, they are not as hard as the epoxy. So when you start to chip them on the lathe or take the shavings down, you get giant blocks that pop off. So ended up making a mortise, and I was kind of upset about it up to this point. I'm like, God dang it, another shitty damn project. But I came back because we don't stop on this channel. So you can see I'm getting some pretty good shavings, getting some good crayons off, really excited. I'm like, you know what, we can rescue this monstrosity. And for the most part, we did. And I really like this angle, by the way. You know what, I got to start zooming back on some of these projects because you get a lot more visualization of what's going on with the actual bowl. So here we are, got it reversed on the chuck, and now I'm basically just trying to smooth everything out, trying to save as much of this damn bowl as humanly possible. And I've got big chunks and shards coming off at this point, and I'm basically just trying to take this giant tannin off of the back of it. And my parting tool that absolutely sucks isn't working too well up until this point, and I'm going to come back later with a handsaw and take it off. You can see the dust and the smoke coming off this son bitch, but it was an aggravating project to say the least. And you can see a little bit of the crayon there, and now we're just hitting it with a handsaw, basically taking that giant tannin off because it was a big pain in my butt. So once we got the bowl smoothed out, I pretty much was able to take out that giant shard of chunk that came off of it and was doing okay with it. And now we're just basically smoothing everything out, trying to get everything nice and even. But what I discovered, like I said earlier, once those crayons started to chip into the resin, I was making these giant divots into the resin itself and creating holes and gaps, which was making it a lot harder to turn on the lathe. So I was like, okay, let's cut our losses, because, you know, sometimes you have these great ideas in your head, and this was one of these projects where I had this great idea in my head to make this crayon bowl, thinking it was going to come out great, but I really kind of didn't think it out on my part. But I've got some ideas for some future crayon bowls that I think will work out a little bit better. So here we are, just basically taking that giant waste block out of the middle of it and just turning it down. Carbide tools are working great, hitting it with a bowl gouge, and you can see all the shavings coming off of it. Not too bad. And I am pretty sure, as far as I can remember, this actually did not fly off the lathe, which was astonishing for me. So if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you know any time that we don't have a project fly off the lathe, you know it's a good time. So here we are. I'm trying to work the edge as closely as possible, but my biggest fear is knowing that these crayons are so fragile. I didn't want to take the lip of the bowl down too shallow because I was really worried that I was going to get a lot of chip out. So once I made a decent gouge out of the bowl, I just basically came back, hit it with some sandpaper, went from 320, and wasn't initially going to hit it with that micro mesh, but I was like, screw it. The micro meshes that I'm using are on their last legs anyway, so I figured I might as well try to polish it down as best I can. But the problem was all these crayons kept on rubbing all over it. But once we polished it up, it didn't look too incredibly bad. I mean, it does look incredibly horrible, but you know, anytime that we can finish a project and actually have something to show for it at the end of the projects on this channel is always a victory. So getting it nice and polished up doesn't look too bad once the polish hits it, but overall not too happy with the way it turned out. It's just a freak of nature kind of bowl. So you can see all the crayon mess that's in it. Wasn't able to sand it to that nice crystal clear color that I wanted to. Had a lot of that pine board scrap that was still in it. So it's basically a hot mess for sure. But you kind of get that cool like crayon look to it. So hope you got something out of it. Nice simple little project. We're going to do better in our next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay, so the project is done. Tons of problems, not tons, but we at least have something to show for it. So you can really see where the crayons melted and kind of just you got this wispy type of presentation to it. Concept was there, execution not so much. And there's that dirty blank on it. I mean, you can see the bottom of it. Remember, I don't know, like way back when I tried to do this with Play-Doh? Not smart. So what I'm learning is the softness of the crayons created all these divots and shit. And so when the chisel would catch one of those, that's how we got the splicing and the fucking explosion on there. But I mean, kind of, sort of, proof of concept, not too bad. Got something done, you could put shit in it. So, Crayon Bowl, didn't go so well. I'm sure we'll do another one in the future, but hope you liked it. Hope you got something out of it. I'll see you guys in the next project. So there it is. Fucked up Crayon Bowl. Meh, alright. Check you guys later. Bye.